So we will head our way in
Lion,
border, and well, no,
there's no Lion here.
Surprise for me, but Lion, he will be gone. I was actually thinking about dressing up as Lion for this bit of segment, but unfortunately ESL, they banned me.
I have a feeling the production team are going to get triggered if we say Lion far too many times today, so I'm pretty sure they'll be glad to see the back end of him, but Glass is going to go away as well. On the other side though, a couple bans looking onto... It's only Demo that gets triggered by it apparently. Do you get triggered by it as well? If I say Lion a lot today, how upset will you be after 2 games?
I don't mind him. Like, of course, I would always ban him, but sure, it's Lion. I'm not really big on the hate too much for him. I'm a little bit more Glass. I don't like playing against the Glass, and thankfully we are going to see none of that, as certainly Barrage, they've done their research. They know that MnM, they like their Glass play. They have a very strong player. I believe Nello plays that Glass for them, and he is very strong on that particular operator. And really, from what we've seen from MnM, they do like to rotate a lot between those kind of Glass lineups where they would take heavy smokes and try and force their way in using that OTS, a very strong weapon under the cover of that fog. And then looking at those final 2 defender bans, Valkyrie and Maestro, no surprise, those are both the intel gathering operators, and certainly for MnM, whenever they do like to play that kind of Glass and that kind of smoke play, certainly getting rid of that Maestro who can see through that smoke, and he has been a very strong operator since his release into Rainbow Six Siege. Yeah, they're certainly looking like very strong bans. There is one thing as well that I think that we did forget to mention, and that's the mid-season changes that actually did come in a couple of days ago. And really the changes that happened were primarily the Clash, where she did get hit pretty hard with a couple of tweaks where her stun doesn't last as long, her quick switch to her secondary much longer than what it was, and then also a couple of buffs to Smoke and Mira. Surprisingly, Smoke, his SMG11 has been buffed to better recoil, and also so has the Vector. And one more nerf was actually done to Maestro, where his Alda, his hip fire has increased, so it has more of a spread. So it's not that kind of same gun that just walked in, you hip fired, you planned every shot. So it is more of, yeah, you actually have to aim in with this gun.
Interesting that it's Smoke and Mira seeing the buffs in that one as well, but alas, that's the way it is. And there you go, in case you missed it earlier on. MnM's roster is up on the screen for you there. Citizen, that one name that I think, again, we saw a lot in week 1, really popping off with these guys. Going to look to give them a big performance today as well.
So we will be starting off with downstairs defense, ventilation room, and workshop is what we're going to head into next. I kind of imagine we're seeing the players of MnM just go for the very standard upstairs hold, kind of 3-2 split, which we are so common in seeing.
Yeah, and oftentimes we'll see a lot of upstairs holds as well. Again, back in week 1, I'll always be quoting week 1 because it's the one I cast last time round. A lot of it when it was on the upstairs side of things, it was a slow breach from the outside on the west balcony and going for the pushes from there that often came to fruition and gave a lot of the attacking teams the win. This time round, though, it's not going to be the upstairs side, it is going to be downstairs, and there is Barrage's roster. This time round with the correct logo again. Kizzard, that big name that we're looking towards, but Greedy Willow, a name that many of you will recognize if you were, of course, still around in Season 1. One of those names that's kind of become a staple, it feels, almost, of Siege here in the UK. And here come the drones, at least for the first part now. Only 30 seconds in, of course. We want to see how long we can have these, at least, lurkers and the roamers trying to catch a couple of members out. Just slow down this initial attack and give them something to think about on their way in.
So already, we're going to be seeing more of the east stairs kind of take from Barrage. This is very common where you try and take from office, you try and push your way in towards archives and try and have a full frontal assault. That kind of does give you that more flexibility where you can rotate people in towards main corridor. Don't have to worry about that east stairs flank as well. So you really have a couple of options whenever you do attack either bomb site, may it be, you know, the A or the B. Most teams, they do just like to stick with going for the very standard, you know, A-bomb where they just take from upstairs, then they try and drop the hatches and plant. Sometimes we see rotations go over towards B, and even, you know, from teams like Vexed in earlier this season, they have tried very aggressive B plants as well, where there's rushing in, use the smokes, use all that cover, and, you know, all of that just kind of clumps into a very successful plant if you do manage to get all of the right utility fired out. And talking about utility already, Randy will try and get a couple of these frag grenades in and around that locker's area, but then again, ADS will be there. Randy misses the shots on the Vigil. Vigil goes for another peek as well. Citizen, he gets punished for that very questionable rotate, tries going towards that double a wall area, but still Barrage, they are ready for the onslaught, but they still have to find at least 2 more people, as Jaeger will be upstairs inside of the half wall, and also Legion lurking on the hatch.
I think with Randy there, well, Randy there as well, after he missed those first 2 run across, he just thought there's no way I can miss a 3rd one, and definitely made sure he capitalised on it. A bit risky to go for the 3rd run out from Citizen as well, to try and make something work out for them there, but now there goes the 1st kill across already, approximately the 2nd kill going across, and the 3rd. Turtle finding himself 2 kills there. That's definitely going to slow things down.
So Turtle playing very big on the upstairs armory lockers, and even going to go for a bit of a risky rotate, but then again he knows he has the man advantage in his favour, and does actually manage to successfully escape from the clutches of Boogie. You could call him Oogie Boogie if you get that reference. I'm sure most of you guys do.
I remember that one, mate. Not Nightmare Before Christmas. Everyone's favourite. Oh, beautiful. We're in that spooky season. The thing is, though, once Halloween's gone, it becomes Christmas time. That's the worst part. And it's still only November. But we'll get there all the same.
10 seconds left.
2 members left, only 10 seconds left. It looks like this round is pretty much done so and done. Turtle finds his 3rd kill of the round onto Barrage, gets the final one, and they will all be down and out. First round going across quite convincingly to MnM Gaming, who at this point you may as well call Turtle Gaming.
Yeah, Turtle, massive free K from him, really sets up the round for his team. He didn't have to really do anything once he got those kills. Even if he did die, all of the control was certainly in favor of MnM. You know, they had all of the utility still with the smokes, with the echo. Barrage, looking at them, sure, they did look a little bit shaky there on that kind of control of the upstairs. Randy, he needs to start fragging because he's a very strong player, especially on the Buck. Mastering Buck, not the easiest operator. You really have to know when to use your utility at what certain times. Again, if you open a hole, let's not forget, the enemy team can also use and abuse that said hole as well. Barrage, they're actually be taking the Maverick. Kiza, gonna look for that kind of, I would say, better Thatcher in most circumstances. Sure, Maverick, we know he is very strong in what he does. Not as strong as I would say on Border compared to a map like Clubhouse, where he really just completely runs that map. If you don't ban Maverick, you're asking to take quite a big fight on Clubhouse, if we ever do see some of that tonight.
Right, so it looked like he was going to change for a second, but chose to stick. And you mentioned Randy a second ago there in that first round as well. I think you give that down to the first round jitters, just kind of getting into the swing of things as well, because if he managed to get those couple of kills at the very start of that round, rather than missing the first 2 frag opportunities he saw, that could have transformed the outcome of that round quite drastically if it was Turtle who was on the receiving end. Obviously, in the end, it didn't quite turn out to be. He got himself caught out in response. And they find themselves down in that situation where they took 1 kill in the last round, and MnM walked away with 5. Now, this time round going upstairs, this is the more standard setup we saw a lot back in week 1, where teams do go for the upstairs, often the assault coming in from the west balcony from the attacking side. We haven't seen too many actually coming from the east side of the building here.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, well, east side is more of that kind of office take that teams want to go for. Primarily, we do see more of the south take in towards the west balcony. They try and open up inside of that, you know, trying to take control of security, push their way in, open up the wall. Really opens up the majority of that armory. I'm sure that's kind of what Barrage will be going for, just looking at their setup. They have the hard breach. They also have, again, the better Thatcher in the form of the Maverick. Also, you see a couple more utility being brought to the table with the IQ scanner, which will be very good at getting rid of those ADSs, and also a very big counter to the Pulse, who is an extremely strong operator. Just in general, in the meta, I think Pulse brings a lot to the table, certainly one of my favourite operators. And on a very destructible map like Border, where you can deny the C4 from below, you know, stop that diffuser being initiated, then yeah, he does look to be one of those stronger operators that you can take. And if you're an attacking team, you really need to think about if you want to go for that hunt. And 9 times out of 10, teams do want to take that fight.
There comes that west side push that we were speaking about just a second ago as well. Looks like they're all going to try and find their way in, but there's a lot of defenders sat on the other side of this wall, making sure they got eyes on. Be a big risk trying to push in that way. Of course, everything fully reinforced as well, as far as you can see. All the bandits down, reinforcements up. Gonna be a bit of risk trying to push on this way, because we see so many teams try and kind of stifle up here, try and go for one way in. And as you mentioned, out comes the blowtorch. They want their way in, the breaching torch, if you want the proper name for it, I suppose. And we saw a few novel uses of this coming through on Clubhouse, actually, where you burn a straight line in the bottom, just so you have the vision line in, hang off the side of the building behind it, and you can basically get 3 shots into the whole room. That's trying to find a very small angle, but at least they managed to start finding their way in. But time is ticking down here. Already lost 90 seconds of this round.
So a lot of work that Barrage really have to do still. I have to clear out, first of all, that half-wall area that there will be one player MnM stationed behind. Turtle ready with the 416, one of the hardest hitting carbine rifles for the defenders, and also, as you can see, Citizen there with the backup using the MP7. They still have to remember about that potential rotate that Prox could certainly go for. There's stage 1 out of the way for Barrage, as Turtle he will be taken out from below by Willow. Citizen may be looking to go for the late rotate and late flank. Prox actually playing his cardiac scanner upstairs for more of that utility, looking in towards security, but he has to rotate if he wants to try and stop this plant, as all the utility will start to get thrown out, and also a C4 gets thrown out but does not land anything, and the plant will try and go down as the defenders, they have to rush to stop this defuse.
Great smoke coming in as well just to block it off, and even with the C4 coming out and not connecting, that was their big saving grace, which ultimately couldn't come to be. We're going to get a free spray here as well. Frau in a great place to be able to bring them down. Suddenly MnM find themselves another one. Frau turning it up high, bringing down Wiz 3 into 1 now. This could be their round to take back.
Mira, what a disgusting kill on to Wiz. He should have had that kill in the bag, so he has left all of the reliance of Barrage winning this round on the Capo, and Freo just completely, actually Nello, he stole that kill away from him. A very good retake from MnM, a quick clean-up job, and that will be round number 2, going in favor of the defenders.
We spoke about this a lot back in Season 1, about how teams can't always rely on one individual member to be the carry for the team. You need more members to show up in different weeks. Sometimes people have on days, some have off days. It's all about making sure you do have that star player or players that can show up when it comes to when it counts. That round there was all on Frau as well, because even though he got himself smoked out, didn't get the C4s down, he stuck to his position, stuck in that corner, waited for the smoke to wear out, and then caught a couple of members easy. That run-in was more a mistake on Barrage's side. That should have been their kill. They had the advantage there, but still managed to miss it. But it was a great turnaround, because for the first 2 minutes of that round, Barrage were in control. They had the opening, they had the smoke going in, they got all the members in on the point itself, just couldn't then capitalize and convert that into a planned and successful victory.
Yeah, they tried their best, but just to...
but your best won't do.
No, they're trying their best, but at the moment it is looking pretty scary for the players of Barrage at the moment. The most generic pun I think I could have went for, but nonetheless, Barrage really not in a good place. They need to start getting a couple of rounds, and really their refrag potential just isn't here at the moment. They're, you know, they lose one player, but then there's nobody to follow up with the refrags. It's something that I talk about so often, where it's all about the man count. If you control all of the numbers in your favor, you will always manage to come out on top in these engagements.
So talk to me about these 2 different picks we've seen come through this round. Jackal, one of those picks that we don't really see all that often, maybe see him once every few games. And Echo we see a little bit, not super often, but why do you think they picked these 2 operators up in this round in particular?
Well, the reason why we don't see Echo all too often is because typically he is banned. He's a very strong operator, and what he does, he has those 2 Yukai drones that can be used either on the bomb site to try and deny that late stage plant, or he can also be used to assist the roamers, and that's exactly what these players of MnM will try and establish. And talking about the Vigil as well, it's a very strong pick on this particular bomb site, because you're all about holding that security room, and for the most part, if you can control that security room and deny that drone access, that Barrage are very heavy in what they do with the drones. You can already see, you know, at least 3 of them, they are on their drones trying to find out as much information as they can. Barrage in their lineup, they do have a good bit of utility and equipment to actually deal with that Vigil, as they have the IQ and the Jackal.
I was just about to say, the Jackal being brought here thinking nothing else is the Citizen. Although he hasn't popped off yet, they know that it's only a matter of time given his performances in previous weeks. So if you can at least have some kind of tool to shut him down, even win yourself back an extra 30 seconds by pressuring him out, that gives you so much more time instead of having to go for that rush in the last 60 seconds like we saw in that last round. But as it stands, they've got to convert it into a win. There's Olga going for these picks and having the big brain, but if it's not ultimately resulting in big round wins, well, what's the point?
So Citizen does have more of an aggressive standpoint inside of Break Room. Of course, he knows that Barrage, they do like to take from east in towards Office and then finally in towards the Archives area. So they are going to try and gear themselves up as much as they can, and Keza better be careful he doesn't get picked from those punch holes that Citizen did make for himself. Of course, Keza, if he does manage to land a footprint or 2, that can definitely help MnM with this final push in towards that security. Nello also trying to play a bit more aggressive, and of course those mirror windows, which Mira didn't actually get banned. She was let through. That does open up a lot more potential strategies for MnM on this top floor, especially customs, where if you don't have that mirror window for this particular bomb site, it makes things a heck of a lot harder because you just don't have that same control as you would over that break room and also in towards that main corridor. And Keza, he may be looking to take the first couple of fights, but they still have to deal with the mirror windows.
It is always the problem, and as well as the mirror is kind of actually stuck or not too far away from the Vigil himself, so they have a couple of angles they can afford to almost hold here together as well. They try and track down the Vigil, they might find themselves getting caught out by the mirror or vice versa. As it stands though, Keza hasn't really found any use for his ability yet. They haven't hunted anyone down. There's only 40 seconds left in the round, and we literally said the reason why you're bringing the Jackal here is to shut that roamer down early on so you have more time to push with. But now they've been completely starved out. They got 30 seconds, and we've seen historically so many times, this is when teams start making mistakes.
I just have no idea what Barrage have been doing for the past 2.5 minutes. Have they just been sitting on drones the whole time with nobody actually to follow up? And this is where panic stage comes in for the players of Barrage, because they don't have upstairs control. They don't have control of anything, and they're going to try and attempt to go for a plant. This is the thing about the customs. If you do not hold that upstairs as an attacker, you get completely ripped from the defenders, and everybody from MnM will fall just like that. That was possibly one of the worst attacks I think we've had this season.
Again, like you said, for 2.5 minutes, what were they actually doing? A lot of it was more running around outside with that Jackal. Kizza, I don't know if he was trying to find an angle or find a footprint or something just to try and see what was going on, but there was never any great threat to MnM. You basically saw the Vigil sit in the same spot for a solid 2 minutes with no real reason to move. It's almost like they were waiting for the attack to happen, but it never quite came. They didn't even manage to clear out things like the barbed wires, and that's exactly why you drop down barbed wires, kids. You saw it at the very end there with one member left, stuck on the barbed wire, wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. All it took was a couple of remaining members of MnM to turn around, spray him down, and the job was done. Barrage not off to the start that we had hoped.
Certainly, Barrage, they're not looking in the best of shape. It really is starting to shift heavily in favor of MnM, and this could potentially be looking at a possible, I think the first time in Prem where we've had potentially a double consecutive 6-0 after a week, so this could lead up in MnM 6-0 in Barrage just after what happened to them last week against Secret. Well, definitely not good shape for Barrage at the moment.
Absolutely not. Well, this time around it's not going to be the Vigil coming to the fore. They're going to instead bring out the Ela.
Attackers need to locate and defeat.
I'm looking at you. You're meant to be looking at me and acknowledging I'm taking the mick out the way you used to say it.
What are you talking about, huh? No idea.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, bringing out the Ela to the fore. So in this case here, why do you think they're so locked out? Why have they brought the Ela to the table instead of the Vigil?
I just think that they want more roam game. Sure, Vigil, he's a roamer, but then again, I think
more disruption as well, because of the mines.
Yeah, you just have that more kind of denial of the potential run-in, and just Citizen in general, I think he prefers the Scorpion. It's more of a high fire rate, kind of suits his playstyle, more of that run and gun CQB tactics. Of course, Vigil can do the same, but really his K1A has so much more of a slower fire rate compared to the Scorpion. That's kind of why we're seeing that pick, or might just be a personal preference where they're thinking, oh yeah, Vigil didn't really do much, how about we take the Ela, and he may be looking to go for a potential quick east stair spawn peek, and hopefully, I hope Barrage, they will be ready for this, but no, Citizen just tried his hand, but didn't get anything from it, and instead will go back and help the rest of his teammates who are still trying to hold upstairs as much as they can. Prox, he will be bringing that cardiac scanner to the table once more. Kizza as well, still with the Jackal, hasn't even landed a tag from the last round. He really needs to make this count if they want to keep bringing this Inox, which we know is so strong for hunting these roamers such as Citizen, such as Prox. But if you're not going to use the full advantage of that particular gadget, then why bring it at all? Why not bring potentially Sophia, who has so much more utility compared to the Jackal? She has that soft destruction, she has the concussion mines, and Citizen, pistol shot onto Kiz already.
The hunter becomes the hunted in this case as well. It's Jackal who should be catching out the Ela, but no, it's the other way around. Like you say, Citizen getting that kill. And already this round's off to a solid start. MnM, they could potentially walk away with the clean sweep here, and this is not what I expected out of Barrage. We spoke about it before the game. Yes, on paper they're down in the standings. Yes, they look weaker than MnM, but their last couple of weeks of results have shown strong. MnM have had 3 draws. This is a team you would probably put down and say, well, they're not really solid. They're clearly losing a lot of rounds where they shouldn't be, and we should be able to take this one. But Barrage, as of yet, they haven't had a round that's even really looked close. Maybe you look at the second round when they had the push and managed to get themselves picked off once they were upstairs in the armory. But outside of that, well, what else have they really done?
No, they've done nothing. They haven't established any dominance control of really the armory at all for these particular attacks. May it be on the customs, that we did see them have no presence whatsoever towards armory, which you do need to take in order of controlling that security. And this is where, once again, Barrage, they start to go into that panic mode where they see things just are not working. Their initial thoughts was, let's push in towards archives and armory. They don't have the manpower anymore, they're at the disadvantage. And this is where they think, okay, let's rotate and try and take control of the bomb site just from below, but then you put yourself at the clutches of a player like Prox, who can use and abuse that cardiac scanner from above, and already does eliminate Randy. And once again, it's the same old story for Barrage, where they just do not have enough time or the manpower to actually take control of the bomb site.
I almost want to say last round was a victim of droning too much. 2.5 minutes on the drones, trying to find your way in didn't really do them any favors. This round is also they're not droning enough, because little scouts like this, they should have someone going in with a drone. They're leading ahead, given the intel before they just go for a blind push like that. And yes, Boogie won that one versus one. That could have been very different if he was looking even 45 degrees to the right-hand side.
Plant will be initiated by Wiz, as the gas canisters have missed, but as the cover of the smoke comes in, Wiz will manage to land the shots, not after Prox. He eliminates Boogie, and Turtle does kill Wello down to Wiz, and he just dies in the corner where Prox, he will pick a nice free K for him. And Turtle, sneaky Turtle, and that will be MnM going 4-0 up. The betrayal.
The great betrayal is like, no, I want to defuse it. And yes, you got the defuser for his team still. But when things are going this well, you can understand having a bit of fun with it as well, because for MnM, it has been nothing but raw dominance so far. Even in that round where you saw a couple of 1v1s go the way of Barrage, MnM still managed to pull things back in their favor. And this is the last round now of the defensive side coming through, the attacking side coming through for Barrage. Do they mix things up, or do they just stick by the same thing and hope that something changes? Because right now, they've been doing that several rounds in a row and got literally nothing from it.
I really don't know what these players of Barrage can physically do themselves to pull themselves out of this very deep hole that they have gotten themselves into. They really need to start changing things up. And once again, they will bring a bit of the
They've got a Sophia,
but they do have Sophia, yeah. They do have that more utility-based operator, and we'll see if that can make the difference. But at the moment, the way Barrage are playing, and they seem to be very scared of even wanting to challenge these roamers. That's the main thing about it. And
even in this case now, the swapping goes well, the Pulse coming out and bringing the Echo, going back up to the second floor again, so not really going for the kills from below this time around, more instead relying on the Echo being the one that they've got up there with that Yokai drone, like you say. Let's not forget, that was the one time we've seen Barrage have, I don't want to say it's success, but to some degree success on this map, was when they went for that push on the west balcony in and did manage to get on the point. Now, if you've got that Echo drone in there and you can deny the plant in the first place, that's where you're going to see Barrage start panicking again, as they have done all of this round, well, at least this half of the round so far. It just seems like a pretty sound strategy coming in for MnM, and once again, they could take this round away, bring it into 5-0 at the time, and just have to win one round to close this whole map out 6-0.
Yeah, especially whenever MnM have looked very strong on their attacks. They have players there like Citizen who are very strong on the Ashe. Of course, the R4C has immense fire rate, immense damage, one of the best guns in the game, and certainly putting a player who has that mechanical skills such as Citizen behind that really does a lot of damage, just really anybody he plays. We did see that against Secret, where he performed pretty mighty against Team Secret, certainly the big dogs, and them managing to take the only draw that really Secret have dropped points in. You have to give MnM credit where it's due, and they have just continued that that hunger and that strive over and over again. And really the way the MnM have gotten their matchups, where now they go in and they play all of the weak teams in the season, these guys should at least get a playoff spot.
I think they're almost guaranteed.
Oh.
Okay, nice and easy. Steady Tiger. In that case though, like you were saying for MnM, even though they're sat in 5th right now, they've had the hard matchups and drew a lot of them. Now it's a case of turning it into wins against the other teams and guaranteeing themselves that spot. But with the quality of play we're seeing out of them, it'd be hard-pressed to say they don't already look like they're guaranteed that spot.
So MnM, they do have already, I would say, more of the man advantage, as Boogie, he does have quite little HP left after that engagement. against Turtle, so still all in favour of MnM. They have the utility still and eliminating the Jackal, so that utility gathering information that Barrage could use and abuse with the Inox certainly has weakened their side a lot more. Still cautious of anybody potentially lurking from below, and primarily they're going to try and get Randy in to open up some of that floor, and of course the destructibility factor is so big, and quite surprised there that Ella didn't see Willow there in the first bit, but finally we do see a bit of damage being put down onto the IQ. Actually, the shock on the FO12, one of my favourite guns inside the matchup. It's going to be used to good effect, just not to create the holes, but also do a good bit of damage against Willow.
Yeah, it's just a cheeky little hold there again, just stalling and wasting time, and that seems to almost be not so much the strategy they've employed, but they're definitely making it work out for them, because now we're at a minute left and Barrage down a member. They've got 2 members on flashing health bars, again feeling the pressure. This looks pretty much set to go into the half with them down.
So Randy will start using that skeleton key. Quite a fitting gadget for the festivities tonight. And Nello also eliminating Randy with that new SMG11 with the recoil, very much stronger than what it once was, and down to Boogie, Wiz and Willow, and 2 of them actually being very low on health, so even a quick gas canister could really hurt these players off Barrage with only 30 seconds to go. That is completely plausible, but Willow, he manages to take out Nello, so Smoke, that's the big operator that they needed to kill, will finally go down, and this does kind of give Barrage a bit of a fighting chance.
Oh, he's going to make the run out there potentially. Oh, I thought he was going to go for it, but actually missed it. No, there we go. That's what we've been speaking about. The Yokai drone finally coming into effect. But Willow is the monster from down under. He's killing 2 members downstairs. Frau gets the one onto Wiz, so that bomb is now down. Can they close this out? They've only got 4 seconds to go. They haven't got enough time. MnM are going to clutch it out despite all the work that Willow was doing downstairs.
It was so close yet so far for Barrage, and they lose yet another round. 5 straight rounds in a row without a round win for Barrage, and well, this is pretty much turning into a nightmare on Prem Street for Barrage.
Fantastic. Fang-tastic, actually. We'll go with that one.
We are good tonight, aren't we?
No,
we're doing good.
We've only just started. We're getting into the siege mode.
We've only started, but we still have plenty more to come.
There's plenty more to come, don't worry about that. However, for this game, I don't think there's too much more to come, because
fantastic.
This is potential. Stop it now. There's potentially one more round to go here until MnM claim this first match of the evening. 5-0, almost flawless defense across every single round. Barrage looking a bit flustered at point. Oh, come on now.
Oh, in the bin.
I said fantastic. That's worth at least 1, surely.
Yeah, let's give him 1 point.
Thank you.
Let's give him a petty point. There you go.
Now, if we could see the count of burns, that'd be a very different story.
No, you don't deserve that.
Over the number of weeks?
Yeah, I think you might win that. Especially going back to season
1. Oh my word, yeah.
That's before, you know, I decided, hold on a minute, it's just theirs.
They need to slap like an extra PG-13 rating on there, just for the actual audio content alone, I think. Never mind that the game itself is already, you know, people being shot and dying and all the other wonderful horrors of the evening. That's not really a pun, but we'll take it. Production just like, maybe, half-half. Anyway, let's talk more about what's going on then. So, talk to me about these sets we're seeing coming out. Again, we're seeing that Echo come out this time around, of course, on the side of Barrage. MnM are bringing the Sledge into play, though. Not something we see all that often.
Yeah, Sledge is still a very strong operator. He has always been that go-to op, really for anybody. May you be a new player to the game, may you be a veteran. He's just very stable. I'm pretty sure he is the operator which has seen no changes to anything he really has. Sure, the SMG11 is the only thing, but SMG11 has only ever been changed just because Smoke was so good with it. Elliot, never been changed. Sledgehammer, never been changed. Nades, never taken away from him. The only person from the starting year with frag grenades has kept it. That only one who ever actually did have frag grenades back in year 1 was also Capo and also Thermite, and Buck as well, but Buck actually didn't start with grenades. That's a fun fact if any of you guys are new to the scene. But yeah, he actually started with flash grenades instead of frag grenades, and I'm pretty sure that Thermite, he landed a couple of frag grenades over to Buck.
How much, I don't want to say useless, but irrelevant information do you hold in your cranium?
Did you know that Dokkaebi and Echo used to date?
I don't want to know about your weird fan fictions you read when you go home.
And that is why the phone calls don't work against Echo, because Echo blocked her number.
Is that actually real?
Yes. Serious? Yes. So it's lore. Yes, it is true.
Well, you can tell the UB devs have some good fun somewhere, right?
Yeah, I love the lore.
Is that the counter to Dokkaebi? Just block a number? Wow, why didn't I think of that one before?
Echo, what a guy.
Hacks are being blocked by the blocking of numbers. Come on now.
He didn't stop that. He didn't stop that. And Citizen completely bangs the Echo. Boogie goes down. And, well, this could be the beginning of the end for Barrage, as they do have very weak players. But no, Kizza, we said he was strong in the anchor position. Certainly does flex a lot more on that defense. Does get one kill in his favor, but as you can see, Proc's using good use of that IQ scanner. Can be used to get rid of the ADSs and also the Echo drones primarily. That's why you see him looking through the floor. Very strong against Echo, and that's really why they have stuck it in their main lineup. Still a minute to go. We'll see if Barrage can hang on, but then again, that's 1 minute for the Sledge to start doing a lot of work and really start tearing up this entire vertical plane. Like we talked about, Echo drone gone, simply down to the IQ.
I mean, the Echo Dev wasn't too much use to them, but they'll take it regardless. Always nice to see the IQ coming into effect and delivering some value. 45 seconds remaining now. MnM, of course, the one still on attack. 4 attackers remaining. You could say 3.5 for Barrage because that castle is in that blinking red health bar. Could go down even from one bullet just being fired his way through a wall. You take your pick, essentially. But here come the smokes now. That attack is probably coming to effect. But oh, Kizza gets one across onto Turtle. Barrage might actually find themselves around here as well. Kizza finds 2. They will get one traded back with Prox picking up Wiz on the other side. And now everything kind of just takes a breather for 2 seconds. Still one more peek in. Prox up here on high. He's getting so many of these kills. Nello finds another one. MnM, this will be the 3rd or 4th round in this entire match. They've turned back round from the brink. But Rendy now brings them into a 1 versus 1. This is the closest they have been, Demo.
Randy could potentially save this round. A very tight cut 1v1.
What are you doing?
Oh, Randy, he has the upper hand against MnM. And wow, finally, Barrage, they will not get a consecutive 6-0 beating. Instead, they will bounce back with at least 1 round on the board. And really, in a league where score difference does matter, that could be a big saving grace for Barrage.
Oh, Nello, what you doing, buddy? He was so keen to move away from that bomb and get out of the room itself. Like, you could have held him there for another 5-10 seconds. Just wait for some movement. At the end of the day, the onus is on him to move towards you, not vice versa. But he put himself in such an exposed position. And Rendy does come up big for them there in the dying moments. You can see there as well, tied with Boogie for the top number of kills, but Prox is the guy flying high for MnM at 9 kills so far. That is just 1 round. It feels like a blip. It was very close into that final 1 versus 1, but sometimes momentum can be all that you need. And for MnM especially, when the wins count, you've already seen there's a couple of teams here in 3rd and 4th place who are joint on points, but they're separated by the number of round wins they've got compared to the round losses. For MnM, it might not seem like a big deal because they're already pretty much in a spot now at match point for the next 5 consecutive rounds even. They still want to close it out here now, make sure they've got that favourable advantage coming into the future weeks.
So Barrage, they do fight, or live to fight another day, should I say, and really Barrage, they haven't looked good in the attack.
You could almost say they live to fright another day.
Oh, that okay, we'll give them one for that one, production, we'll give them one. That's a good one, I enjoyed that one.
This is like some really crap like 1970s TV show, like where people are just like picking out clever words out of a dictionary and it's like, oh yes, very good sir, very good.
It's the Prem.
Round of applause from the audience and that's it.
Prem, this is it.
And it's like the real drab stuff that you watch on a Wednesday evening. This isn't drab, this is exciting. This is the match I was quite excited to see tonight, to be honest, between the 2 teams, because again, although on paper MnM was stronger, and as it turns out in reality they're stronger, for Barrage you could see the signs in their previous week's performance where they could potentially take this one away from MnM.
Yeah, Barrage are kind of the team where
5 seconds left.
There's always that little glimmer of hope that maybe, just that kind of, sure, possibly, but in reality at the moment, it's just not the case. It really is looking very bleak for Barrage. They still have to go up against another 4 rounds, potentially of an onslaught. Well, if they get that far, but I really do imagine that MnM, they're just going to finish it here and now, and they've even brought out the Blackbeards, so pirate being brought to the Halloween theme night, that's good.
Yar, spooky pirate. Maybe it's like mixing in Pirates of the Caribbean where you bring in the undead as well, you know, step into the moonlight and suddenly all skull and crossbones. Yeah, full works, that's quite spooky.
Skull and bones.
It'll pass, it'll pass. Once again, it seems Echo now, especially in these last 3 rounds of this map, have been very, very prominent, both times picking him up in every single round so far. MnM towards their end on the defense this time round to Barrage, their turn coming out, seems to be quite liking it as well. Didn't really have much effect last round because it was the first operator to go down.
So, talking about the first operator to go down, that will be Willow the Bandit getting eliminated. Freo had the long angle. I actually believe that Barrage, they made those holes themselves to try and play around, you know, people peeking them. They wanted to have the upper edge against that, but no, it will come in to punish them. You do see the good use of procs once again on the IQ, gets rid of the bandit charges, allows Freo to open up that wall with ease. And this is where MnM can already start getting everybody in position. Primarily, Kizza will be the main target for the players of MnM, just because we know half wall a very strong position. You cannot kill him unless you have frag grenades or go below. And of course, smoke, very, very strong in these kind of later stages. Kizza.
Oh, you're so not on the ball, Kizza, my man. Come on. It started up in round 1, and now they know exactly where he is. He's got to move out of here before he gets himself sprayed down. He will slowly move away. He's seen another one downstairs, but still, he's not quite sure where to go. I think they've got to know he's up there at this point as well. They spot him out on the drone.
Says, and he actually gets eliminated from Randy, who did drop down using the drop hatches available for himself, and Kizza does manage to live just for the meantime, as Turtle, he will have those asphyxiating bolts and burns him alive. Wiz still below with the cardiac scanner, can deny the plant indefinitely with that C4. Randy could potentially go for a retake along with Wiz, or maybe he just wants to protect Wiz as long as they can, because they know with 40 seconds to go, the Echo Drone still available, actualize even more time, and the C4 could really be the big deciding factor. And if MnM, if they lose this round, or will Barrage take it just simply down to the utility factor that they have available.
Trying to go the way in as well. The Echo Drone's up there as well, but managed to bring it down, I think, in the end. Found to a 4 versus 1 that they've cleaned up big time in those final couple of kills. They might have someone lurking around, but is it enough? Still going to find themselves the kill, but that diffuser is down in the open here. There's so many angles that MnM are going to have onto it, and I feel with Boogie being the only man left alive, that's a very tall order.
Yeah, Boogie on the Echo. What can he do? Not a whole lot. He is very, very chunky, very slow, a bit like a pumpkin king. We'll see if he can really do anything at the moment. I wouldn't imagine as really proxy just peek in and out. And there you go, Turtle. He swings around as the Capo eliminates Boogie. And well, Barrage, they take an absolute beating inside of week 5. And MnM, they get yet again another win for themselves. And the tables are certainly looking MnM, and really, I would say, for the Flame.
Very well played overall, though, you got to say. Prox, the guy topping up that leaderboard with 9 kills towards the top end as well, but I think some notable players you can call out in that round as well. Citizen, even though he didn't have the largest number of frags, it was still the time he was wasting. You remember that one round where he was sat on Vigil, and even with the Jackal on side, they couldn't find a way to get rid of him, unseat him, and find their way into the point. Well played by MnM overall. Just that one round coming across, but we'll take a look at some of these replays now, in case you were joining us and you missed that match.
If you did miss that match, well, I don't know where you've been.
Trick-or-treating, mate.
Sleeping in a coffin, potentially, just waking up.
Trick-or-treating.
For tonight's feast. I'm sure this is whenever most of those vampire guys come out, isn't it? You're one of them. That's why you're here.
Yeah, that's why I got the mascot, mate.
Or is it full moon tonight? Or I'm confused.
What are you on about?
Werewolf.
Talk to me about the replay. I want to know what's going on in these replays, mate. Make it exciting.
Well, it's really just more or less MnM having all of the control. Barrage, their attacks very weak. Again, like I said, they did have arguably one of the weakest attacks we've had in Prem, I could say as well. But just really MnM finally coming into their stride. Sure, they had all of the tough matches on Name, Secret, Vexed. They managed to hold their own against them, and really this is where they can just completely pry in all of these weaker teams. And already Barrage, they will be the first one who will fall, and MnM, it's certainly looking very good because they still have Horizon to go with, who we know are pretty weak in Wind and Rain as well. So yeah, MnM looking pretty good at the moment, and they should be happy with where they're seated.
A lot of it came down to, I think, in that round match as well. A lot of it felt like Barrage was just kind of not really on the ball. We saw it in the first round, it didn't really go their way, and from there everything just kind of went from bad to worse. That third round again, 2 minutes 30, what the hell was going on for the majority of that round? Didn't work out for them, but MnM walk away the victor with that 6-1 victory.